And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we got a great conversation. Finally, the government is reopening, the shutdowns in, and it's about time. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know you're listening to Let the Truth Be Told radio. I'm your host, Pastor David. Y'all come on in. Thank you. And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And first, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for making it possible for me to be here. And those who are watching the show, welcome. Well, folks, the ridiculous shutdown is over. You mean to say 41 days the Democrats have been holding out because they wanted to give money to the illegal migrants. But at the same time, they kept telling the American people that it was about Obamacare. Well, Obamacare is one of the problems, but it should have never been used as a tool to shut the government down, especially when it involved the air traffic controllers, it involved SNAP, it involves a lot of things that should have never been put on the firing line for the Democratic Party to make a point. But the real reason why the Democrats have really continued to hold out as long as they could is because of the fact that they wanted the illegals to get Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and all the other SNAP benefits, everything they've been getting for free since they've been in this country. It has been so much waste, fraud, and abuse in this system that it's ridiculous. It has even caused a stir between the Democrats themselves, and we're going to talk about that today. But first, let me get my panel in. What's up, Mr. Binky?
Howdy.
What's up, Randy? What's
Good day.
How you doing?
Guys, look. The shutdown's over. SNAP benefits was partially given in November. But the real thing is the benefits should have been given by the state. The state takes money out of the people of the state of Illinois pocket, out of income tax. They had well enough money to go ahead on and fund the state Medicaid and SNAP benefit program, but they didn't want to use the money because some of the states wanted the money so they could put that money at other places and still fund the SNAP benefits. But the real reason is this. The Democratic Party shut this country down, not because of Obamacare, but because of all the illegals who have been receiving billions of dollars of SNAP benefits, and they took it on the chin so that the American people would suffer. And in saying that, guys, what's your thoughts on that, Mr. Binky?
Well, SNAP benefits are supposed to only be like a temporary, it's when you're in a rough time, it's supposed to help you out till you got yourself back on your feet and stuff. But, now it's a permanent part of people's lives, and you get dependent, you get lazy. It's just my opinion, but too much government there. Why do you have to do anything? Why do you have responsibility? Why do you have to be part of the society? You're just sitting back expecting.
Dre?
Well, just like Mr. Binky is saying, we have a situation where the SNAP benefits are supposed to be for a limited time. Excuse me. But what we have is a poverty industrial complex where there's a lot of benefit for people being on those benefits for the government over time, because all these different organizations are getting kickbacks on recruiting people to be part of the program, distributing the different coupons. The stores, they're getting money off of it. So there are some financial benefits for people other than United States citizens that are receiving the benefits that financially profit as a result. Going back to your point about the illegal immigrants, this should be a wake-up call to people that voted for Democrats, because when it came down to illegal immigrants coming into the country illegally, they were given cards, they were given housing, they were given all these things. But for 41 days, the Democrats said, we're going to push back against Trump and we're going to close down the government. Where was their care for actual Americans? Why is it that they put the immigrants on such a pedestal that they were willing to take the government hostage for 41 days?
Randy?
100%. I agree. I'm like this. Article, I encourage, let me back up. I encourage the American people to read the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8. And I don't see anything in there about SNAP benefits, about welfare, about Section 8. And, oh, by the way, you go over to Section 9 of Article 1, it addresses immigration. Who the United States should allow into this country, under what conditions. Now, saying all that, SNAP, welfare in general, that belongs to the states, not the federal government. And to Steve's point, it is not intended to be a income replacement program because you don't want to work. So, oh well. And I seen a meme the other day that said that if you give the power to the government to feed you, you also give them the power to starve you.
That is so correct.
It is what it is.
And you know what, guys? Let me say this. Just like what you said, Dre, it is a good program. But the program is abused not just by Black people, but everybody else that is on it. But the sad thing to me is that it's always the Black community who's put up front, who is the poster child of SNAP benefits. In all actuality, we don't get as much as benefits as everybody else. There's a lot more people that are getting SNAP benefits out there than Black people. Steve, you got a chart. I want you to read a little bit of those who are getting the SNAP benefits and the percentages that they are getting.
Yeah. Top on the list is Afghan, which is 45.6% of the Afghan people here. Somalia, 42%. Iraqi, 34%. Dominican, 34%. Caribbean is 28%. Then we get down here to the Black community is 24.9%. And then you got Haitians, 23%. Mexicans that are here are getting 17.9%. So the highest here is Afghan to Cuban. And here's another thing too about that is our founders said that they didn't want to put enticements out for people to come to this country. They didn't want to give them stuff. They wanted them to come here because they wanted to come here and could assimilate with our culture. And what happens now is we've turned into a multicultural, and everybody's fighting with each other. And then, now these enticements, I mean, we've got foreigners come over that are given 7-Elevens and gas stations and stuff like that. So, I mean, we're enticing people to come here.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing of it is that I don't care where these people come from. Their first stop is the Black community. They come right to the Black community. They set up shop. They open businesses. You know, the Black leadership usually get Black people all emotional, like their civil rights are being violated and all of that. And then they telling Black people, y'all need to just go on and come on in and accept them. Well, leave the country and come back legally. That's what the problem is. If you're here illegally, you have no rights. You have no rights to any funding. You have no rights to any food or housing. You have no rights at all. The only right that you have is that you're going to go to prison and get kicked out of this country. But the Democrats have continued to look for a new voting base. You know, they screwed up so much with Black folks. Black folks finally can see, you know, who they really are and what they've really done over these years. And it has been totally against the Black community. Now, the Black community is only receiving like 4%, 24% of SNAP benefits. And it's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse into that program. But when the illegals got here, the Democrats didn't even care. They just start giving them money. They start giving them everything that you said, Dre, that they've been giving them, they've gotten. And they've gotten so brazen with themselves that they now think that they are citizens in this country, that they feel like right now, we don't care what ICE does because we're going to stand up and fight. Well, you're getting a rude awakening because you are not citizens of this country. You do not deserve any of the benefits because you are not citizens of this country. And that message is being sent home to illegals by President Trump and ICE and all the other entities that are working to help clear our country out of all these illegals so that the American people and patriots across this country can receive the benefits themselves. Your thoughts, Dre?
Yeah, and God bless Mr. Binky for bringing out these numbers and referring these numbers back to the Constitution, because I can tell you this much. I would be enticed too to come to a place where they gave me a job where I didn't have to speak the language. I wasn't required to learn the language. I also would be getting a card with money on it, and I would have free housing. I would be enticed too. And I think Americans need to understand that there is a magnet that's drawing people here from all over the world. A lot of people forget that there were people coming from over 90 countries that came to the United States to get these benefits that were promoted out to the world. Like, hey, if you get here, you're not necessarily going to get deported. That happened for 4 years. So many people came, and everybody wants to be mad at ICE. But if you look at one of the groups that you mentioned, Mr. Binky, the Somalians have totally taken over Minnesota. And the way that they were able to do it was strategic because they got the benefits. These benefits enabled them to prosper economically, while other Americans, actual Americans, weren't able to prosper in Minnesota. So what happened? A lot of them moved away. A lot of them lost a lot of political power. And now Minnesota is run by Somalian people. They have Somalian elected officials, and you have even leaders in the government, in the state government, that are like bowing down to the Somalian culture. And it all started with the benefits.
Yep. Then Randy, your thoughts?
You know, a couple of things. Number one, for the simple fact that, you know, there is no country in the world, and ladies and gentlemen, please look it up. You can text me, call me, email me if you think that you're correct on this. But there's no country in this world that has an open border policy. The United States was a test dummy pilot program that said we're going to open up the borders and let all these people come in, and we'll see what happens. We're the only country that did that, and so we're now suffering, you know, as a result of that. And then, you know, I was talking to a friend. He lives down by the border. He said, you know what? They're letting all these people in and giving them these big manila envelopes with money with cash in it, plane tickets, bus tickets. You can fill out like where you want to go and all that kind of stuff. And it was like travel agents on ground coordinating all this stuff for them. He was like, I might as well just throw my wallet down, go out of the, across the border, and come back in, and I'll be set because they're getting more stuff than I could get. And so I was like, you actually make a great point. So
get ready. He was making a great point. And another thing that we missed is when a lot of times when these people came here illegally, they had legal representation.
Yeah, exactly.
For free.
For free. Yeah, I was gonna say free lawyers.
So they're helping them go through the paperwork, prepare everything pro bono. So that's another benefit.
Your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, well, not only are they getting all these enticements and money and everything else, they're also getting protected. Brandon Johnson went to United Nations complaining about ICE. And he wants to United. Brandon Johnson has no business being involved in anything internationally. That's all federal government's power. So I don't know what he thinks he's trying to accomplish here, but to go up there and side for the illegals and then pigsters talking about, these people are citizens and where do they come up with this? Do they dream this at night? And we got to stop this stuff.
Mr. Binky.
Go ahead.
I was going to say go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Dre. Go ahead.
Mr. Binky, Brandon Johnson is an idiot because what is the United Nations going to do? They're going to send a strongly worded letter to the rest of the world. That's it. They have no power. So for him to kind of go out on a limb and reach out to them, it just makes no sense. And it just shows how his thinking is and how he's just really trying to paint ICE as some evil organization.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Randy.
I was going to say, with the to Dre's point about the Somalis taking over Minnesota, we're seeing a growing vast of a population of Muslims taking over a lot of areas within the United States. Texas, we're getting overran down here, but people are complicit with this. They're thinking like, they're just migrants coming in, and blah, blah, blah. And it's whatever. We see as a result of that, Minnesota, New York, with Mamdani, he's already talking about how he's going to revamp the whole system of things. And you have, this notion that everything's going to be fine. This is just normal behavior. No, it's not normal behavior because at the end of the day, Islamization is not in congruence with our Western way of life, and so or our Constitution for that matter. So I just want to throw out there Lincoln's quote. Lincoln predicted this. Abraham Lincoln predicted this in 1838. He said, "At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reach us, it must spring up among us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction to be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide." Ladies and gentlemen, right now we are dying by suicide because we're just letting riffraff come through here and take over, and it's just like, what are we doing? So this is where we at, ladies and gentlemen.
And the sad thing of it is, now the American people and patriots across this country, especially Black Americans, we can see how the Democratic Party has set us up to be taken out. Basically, the Democrats were trying to destroy the Black community. And it was them House Negroes who are in place right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on, like Charlemagne the God, Roland Martin. It has been a fight between those two now because Charlemagne is making some sense now about saying, why should we continue to hold out when it's hurting our people and it's not benefiting the country? But first, I want to play something about John Fetterman spoke about this shutdown. So the American people and patriots across this country coming out of the mouth of a Democratic leader This is what he said.
Me is Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, who's, of course, one of the few Democratic lawmakers to consistently vote for the stopgap funding bill throughout the government shutdown. Senator Fetterman, I'm pleased to be joined with you. Normally chasing you down in the hallway. We're talking during this program. You have consistently voted to reopen the government for over a month. What ultimately moved the needle and convinced some of your fellow Democrats to join you?
I think people realize that this really needs to end, the mass chaos. You know, how many are going to play chicken for the food security of 2 million Americans? How much more unsafe are you going to make flying in our country? You know, the military deserves to be paid, and the workers here in the Capitol needs to be paid, and the Capitol Police, all those people. This, you know, you've run this into record. That's a sad record, and enough people realized, you know, this thing has run its course, and it's time to just bring it to end.
Mm-hmm. You know, you were one of the few people that I talked to over the course of this shutdown who said you wanted to do both. You wanted to open the government and extend the ACA subsidies at the same time. I think one time you described it as a Venn diagram where many of those recipients would fall in the same sector of that Venn diagram. Are you concerned now that the government is reopened that these ACA subsidies may not be extended?
Absolutely. It's entirely possible. But right now with the shutdown, we're not getting either. You know, and it's like, you know, like talk to hungry people. I don't think they're interested in the political game or the next fundraising email from people that are profiting off of it. So what I'm saying, it's like, as a committed Democrat, it's wrong to shut our government down. We were very critical of the Republicans to do it appropriately. And now for me, the people that I really fight for are the food insecure and the unions, and all of the unions that have been involved in that are saying this has to end. This has to end. At this point, you know, it's run its course. And now enough people finally realize that we're going to put country over the party at this point.
All right, guys. He said something that was real important. And that's what we be talking about all the time. It shouldn't matter whether you are a Democrat or Republican. Your job is to go to Congress and serve the American people and patriots across the country. And so for Fetterman to cross the line and say, you know what? No more games, no more of this foolishness. We need to open our country up and feed American citizens who are hungry. And I think that was very, very powerful for him to do that and step back into the situation and say, you know what? Listen, other Democrats, we got to stop this foolishness, because that's exactly what it is. We're playing chicken with American lives. And now that the Republicans didn't budge because they did not want to give the money to the illegals, and the Democrats wanted that money for the illegals to get SNAP and Medicaid and all the other things they've been getting illegally. Your thoughts, Trey?
Well, here's another thing. So 42 million people were utilizing the SNAP benefits. These ACA subsidies and insurance things that they were fighting so hard for, that represented like over 20 million. So for 20 million people, they were shutting down the government, and then 42 million people were going hungry, including some of the 20 million. So what their tactics were didn't make sense. And I'm glad that John Fetterman, Senator Fetterman, came to the table and said, we're not doing this. I'm going to keep voting consistently that we open the government, and then we can negotiate whatever we need to negotiate later.
Randy?
I absolutely agree. The whole idea that, you know, these subsidies, they're so concerned about the subsidies, they expire in December. The stopgap bill was to run to December. So it had kind of like nothing to do with one had nothing to do with the other anyway. And then now they're pushing this appropriation bill to January. So the subsidies will still expire, and they're going to be right back in the same ballpark in January. So, it is what it is. And the Democrats have to realize something, that you're picking a hill to die on that no one's fighting for. No one is fighting for but the Democrats to give subsidies or money to illegal immigrants. No one in the country. Read the room, guys. You were like, what are you doing? And so now they're going to be faced with a conundrum, not only in the primaries, but also in the general election that, hey, you shut us down. You're not even thinking about the American people. You're so concerned about these immigrants. You go ahead and be with them. You're out of office.
Mr. Binky, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, Fetterman is playing the last Democrat that we knew. It was JFK. He went through the same problem. Is he was too willing to negotiate with the Republican Party, and so he was getting a lot of retaliation done against him too. But as Randy was talking about, I'll read a little quote here from Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton. He said, "The survival of the American Republic depends upon the preservation of national spirit and national character. To admit foreigners indiscriminately to the rights of citizens the moment they put foot on our country would be nothing less than to admit the Grecian horse into the citadel of our liberty and sovereignty." So our founders were very much aware of why they had to set up an immigration policy or naturalization policy. And that's what we're seeing today is we just got the door wide open thanks to the Democrats, and we're being destroyed by the old Trojan horse, and this is what's got to stop.
Right. And to Randy's point, the Republicans were able to hold out and get into the bill that it would be extended until 2026. Because if they didn't do that, then they would have to take a vote around Christmas. And nobody wanted to do that. Nobody wanted to have that pressure. Nobody wanted that smoke. So what did they do? They are allowing these ACA subsidies to expire. So like in 2026, they won't even be talking about them because they'll be expired.
And that was part of the original design.
Yes.
Exactly. And I want our viewers to know that on Tuesday or Wednesday, when they took that initial vote to open up the government, this is going to be a whole process because the government probably won't be fully open until Saturday because they have to take a couple more procedural votes. They have to bring Congress back. And once they bring Congress back, they are on the clock to make sure that everything is up to speed. And then on Saturday, it should be open. So this is a whole long process. And there are going to be people that are still going to need their benefits. Now they have like some hope on the horizon, but it's not a red light, green light to open and close the government. It is a process to open and close it. And we need to stop using this as a weapon that is making our American citizens suffer.
Well, here's the thing, Dave, to go on Andre and Randy. They were talking about in the Constitution, about SNAP, about ACA. It's very simple on why we're where we're at today is because our government's expanded themselves. ACA is not ACA, even Social Security is not a constitutional act from the federal government. It's thanks to the Supreme Court. There's things on here to fund the government, census, publishing journals on House and Senate acts, salaries, pay the debts, pay tax collectors. The list is very short, and if we went back and started following the Constitution, as Randy said, I want people to go read the Constitution. It don't take long. And once you figure out what government's supposed to be doing, you would understand why we shouldn't be where we are today.
Correct.
You know what, guys? I think that we're going to do some shows and we're going to talk about the Constitution, and we're going to start educating people about it because a lot of people don't even know the preamble to the Constitution. They taken it out of the schools because in 8th grade, we had to recite it in order to go to high school back in the day. And I think the teaching of our society needs to be put back into the education system. And some of these classes that they got, these homosexual classes, the transgender classes, they need to be thrown out of our school because our children are not learning anything about this country. And that's what the Democrats wanted to do, because you can see all of these transgender, all these teachings started with Barack Obama, who created the same-sex marriage law, and then it transitioned itself out into our community under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And it really affected the Black community in certain ways. We'll be talking about that in other shows, but I just feel right now that the American people and patriots across this country need to sit down, read the Constitution of the United States, and understand that a lot of these programs are not even supposed to be given. And yet you got people talking about, well, the Constitution says. The Constitution says nothing about SNAP. It says nothing about Medicaid. These are all state-run programs. Now, to Black Americans, now that we see exactly who the real culprit is, because the federal government doesn't even have to put money into SNAP. The states, it's a state-run program. The states themselves take money out of your state taxes, out of your check for programs that the state implements. And so when it first happened, I heard some of the state leaders talking about, well, we could pay and cover the SNAP, but we don't want to start spending our money and then the federal government cut the money off. I feel that the federal government should cut the money off for SNAP. They should. They should cut that money off and let the states run it like they started doing when Lyndon B. Johnson said, hell, if you give those niggers that welfare, then they'll be voting Democrat forever. Well, to the Black community, we can see what was much thought about us when it was created. It wasn't created to help us, but it was created to control us and destroy our families, because when you got welfare, you had to kick the Black man out the home, and that left our women without men to help raise the children. So this was all by design. Guys, I want to play this clip that we got. Check it out.
A new battle is heating up in Washington, this time over food. The nation's food stamp program, known as SNAP, is under fire for soaring costs, fraud, and claims that migrants are improperly receiving benefits. Republicans say it's time to rein it in, while Democrats warn that millions of families could lose access to food assistance. SNAP now supports more than 42 million Americans, double the number from 2000, and costs have exploded sixfold. Under President Biden, spending jumped 25% as benefits expanded during and after the pandemic. Republicans argue that the system is bloated and easy to abuse. Florida Congressman Randy Fine is drafting a bill to bar all non-citizens, including legal immigrants, from SNAP and other welfare programs. He says, quote, "We shouldn't be borrowing from our children to give welfare to immigrants, legal or otherwise." Democrats counter that unauthorized immigrants are already barred and that new restrictions would unfairly punish families with U.S.-born children. According to the American Enterprise Institute, about 1.2 million SNAP households include an illegal immigrant or a green card holder. Many access benefits through their U.S.-born children. A study from the Center for Immigration Studies found that 17% of illegal immigrant households use SNAP and nearly half use some form of food assistance. Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins says the USDA has uncovered widespread fraud. In one instance, a man was caught collecting food stamp benefits from 6 states, while organized crime rings are stealing millions through EBT card skimming. In another major fraud case exposed earlier this year, 6 people, among them a USDA employee, were charged with stealing $66 million in food stamp funds. Rollins says her department is auditing every state and ordering them to stop issuing benefits to illegal immigrants. But many Democrat-led states are refusing to share data, saying that the information could be used for immigration enforcement. New restrictions enacted under President Trump are taking effect, expanding work requirements, and cutting eligibility for some asylum seekers and refugees. ROLAND says more reforms are coming to return SNAP to its original purpose, helping those truly in need. With a $30 trillion national debt and a deepening political divide, the fight over America's food aid program has become a flashpoint in the larger debate over welfare, immigration, and accountability. For the Washington Times, I'm Susan Ferriccio. To stay on top of
All right, guys.
I got something real quick before I forget it.
Go ahead.
So I have a solution for that problem with the immigrants utilizing their American-born children.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be controversial, and people will probably look at me sideways when I say this, but this will work if, just like they did in the slavery days, when a slave had a child, regardless if the master was the father, the child had the status of the mother, right? So if there is an illegal immigrant and they had a child born in the United States, that child should carry the status of the mother. They could be a American citizen, yes, but as far as status goes, you are a legal resident. So therefore, under that program, they don't qualify to get SNAP benefits. So that's how you fix that problem.
Dre?
Well, we have some legislation that I'm hoping will fix that problem. Right now, the Supreme Court is looking over birthright citizenship, and Randy, they will address this issue sort of the way that you're talking about, because what they'll look at, the illegal, the child would have to have at least one parent that was a legal citizen.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have one parent that's a legal citizen, then they do not get the benefits. They do not get anything. They're not recognized as a citizen. So this is what they want to do to get rid of this loophole that people can come to the country illegally, have a baby, and then be able to anchor themselves to this country because they have a quote unquote child that is an American citizen.
That's the scary part, what you just said there, Andre. The Supreme Court is going to, the 14th Amendment has already been discussed.
Yep.
14th Amendment, Senator Howard in 1866 was asked, what is a citizen? Okay. And he defined on there what is not a citizen. And that's people born aliens, from ambassadors, from people outside it. Both parents under Vattel's Law of Nations, when the founding fathers started going through the creation of our Constitution, defined in there that both parents have got to be citizens. And in order to be qualified to run for president, both parents must be natural born or naturalized before the child is born.
Correct.
So that got the Supreme Court threw that to the side when Obama was questioned.
That's
because
right.
His mother was a citizen, his father was not. They said under an 1802 Supreme Court case that they decided that one parent. Now, this is where I'm very adamant when we talk about the Supreme Court. We don't want the Supreme Court to go on previous case law because case law is flawed.
Right. Absolutely.
If they can't go to the true intent of what our founders intended, our system is screwed because now we're going based upon opinions from other judges, precedents. Well, that's where we're in trouble.
Well, you know what? The 14th Amendment doesn't say anything about illegals coming over here and having an anchor baby to stay in this country. That was the facade.
Yes, it does, Dave.
Well,
it says in there under the jurisdiction of the United States. If you come here from another country, you're under the jurisdiction of that country.
Right.
So that dictates it.
But the point is this. The 14th Amendment was created for naturalizations for Black people.
Yes.
See, this is where the buck needs to stop. laws like that amendment that was created to help black people become natural citizens, and then the Democratic Party took it. And how do you put an anchor baby in there and try to get all the illegals legally here because they had a baby on American soil?
The Supreme Court saying it.
But see, that's the kind of thing that the Supreme Court is not the law, but it only gives opinions to the law. So we have to really take a look at the Constitution itself. And it's something that needs to be discussed, that if you are an illegal, if you have a baby on their soil, just like you were saying, Dre, one parent or not needs to be legal. It should be if you are neither parent. If you are not a legal citizen and you have a baby in this country, you need to be deported back to where you came from.
Immediately.
And that's just the bottom line. I want to play this clip, guys. Check it out.
Before we move on,
Ready to
because
recover over
okay.
$1
Go
billion.
ahead.
Sorry. Before you move on, because Mr. Binky was cooking, and I know Randy wanted to respond to some things that we were saying as well. But what I wanted to kind of throw into the ring is that Mr. Binky is right. That jurisdiction thereof has been a problem because the Supreme Court misinterpreted a case that's called the wrong case. And it's about the status of a person in the country. And based on this case, they have misinterpreted the 14th Amendment. So what's going to happen now is we have a little bit more constitutionalists that are on this bench. And this is why the Trump administration is taking it back to the court, because they believe that based on that one case, that this has been misinterpreted and they want to get a new review of birthright citizenship, who it was for, and to get rid of the loopholes that's within the 14th Amendment based on the Wong case. So we're not getting rid of birthright citizenship. We're getting rid of the loophole that is enticing people to come to the United States. I like the word you used, Mr. Binky, earlier, enticements. The enticements that are being used to bring people to this country, knowing that if they have a child here, they can get in and they can eventually have those kids, make them citizens later. Go ahead.
Correct.
Andy?
Yep. So the 14th Amendment, Section 1, it reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, there it is again, are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So with that being said, if you're here, whether you're naturalized or not, it does not say that you cannot be deported without due process. So there you go. You can be here and say, "Oh well, I'm an American citizen and this and that and the other. You can't deport me." Wrong. So
if you're naturalized here, you can be denaturalized.
Correct. Absolutely.
Well, I think that we're gonna have to do a show about that because the mayor, the new mayor of New York, is going to be denaturalized because he's made threats. He's taken foreign money. So New York could be saved. All they got to do is stroke the pen and say, you're no longer a natural citizen by paper.
But we got to have people do that, Dave. We've been talking about this immigration stuff. These Brandon Johnson, Pigster, Newscomb, Hokum, all of them. They're doing stuff illegally on the books, and they're still not sitting in a jail. We got to put the hammer down here. Stop picking on us people. Stop telling us that we're violating laws and blah, blah, blah. No, government's doing it, and they're getting by with it.
Yep.
Well, that's what is being shown to the American people throughout all of the attrition of trying to fight for the illegals. Why would Brandon Johnson be going to the UN fighting for illegals when he hasn't went to the UN to fight for black people and our communities are war zone? Why haven't J.B. Pritzker, why haven't he set up precedents and set up money for college for black citizens who came here unwillingly and was forced to build a country? See, this is what I'm trying to get black citizens to see. that we have to stop depending on people and start researching ourselves and unifying ourselves. You know, when I said take away the SNAP benefits, listen, guys, this is how that the media uses the Black family. Now, I heard on the news this morning that there was a young child that was at a food bank. And this is how the Democrats use our children for a subsidy that parents should be responsible for themselves. And why I'm saying this is because this woman let her child get on the worldwide news, I heard on the BBC News, and tell Trump, I'm hungry. You need to go on and share it to government, right? So we can get our food stamps so I can eat. Now, to me, if you're a parent, it shows that you're a bad parent, because I wouldn't care whether it was food stamps or what. I wouldn't let my child be a victim and be used to try to get on the emotions of Black people. Mm-hmm. That's what this is about. Black people are not the leading people getting food stamps, but I didn't hear any Afghan children saying that. Nope. I didn't hear of any other people saying that. It's Black people. We have to stop getting emotional, because we need to cut SNAP off, because there's too many able-bodied men and women, no matter where you come from, that could get a job and work and take care of your families. If you come to this country and you come legally, then you should be eligible for things that will help you, but not be here illegally and demand that we take care of you, and the government don't even take care of the people in the country. So this is a wake-up call for Black people to really take a look at why and how Black people are being used. They put this child on nationwide news to say that he was hungry. Well, get off your ass, mama or daddy, and go out and get you a job, because I would never let my child get on news and say nothing, because it shows that you are a rotten parent. That's what it shows.
Yeah, your kid's on there exposing you of being incapable of taking care of you.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And other than the fact that the media is using this kid, it also shows a failure in our education system, because the kid was blaming the wrong people, the wrong person about being hungry. There was nothing that President Trump could do to open the government. It was the Senate Democrats, but they made the parent and that child look simple because they didn't know who to blame. Everybody was blaming President Trump, but who was blaming the Senate Democrats? They were the ones. If we didn't have 8 Senate Democrats that came to the forefront and said that we're not going to support this nonsense, you would still be hungry without food. The government would still be shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know,
Black people need to stop being. Black people need to stop being allowed to be utilized as political game pieces. Period.
Yeah.
I won't agree with you that, Randy. It ain't just Black people. It's everybody. It's everybody.
Yeah, it is everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And as far as I'm concerned, 50% of the population, which almost voted for a Democrat, are the problem.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Because I just don't see, and I think the cover is off, guys. I think the Black community now can see that it was the Democratic Party who destroyed Black Wall Street, who continues to lie, cheat, and steal, who opened the borders and allowed the illegals to come in. They gave the Democrats a fighting like hell. Johnson out here at the United Nations and crying about what ICE is doing. They're doing their job by removing illegal aliens from this country. Now, if you came here legally and you went through the process, you're fine. But if you came illegally, there should be no way that Black politicians should be worried about them. They should be worried more about the American people and the welfare of the American people and patients across this country before anything else. Nothing should come before us, no other people, no other nationality. Nobody should be in this country until the citizens of this country is well taken care of. Guys, I want to play this clip right quick about what's going on with Trump and the SNAP.
to recover over $1 billion in federal Medicaid money. It says it's benefiting illegal immigrants in blue states. A preliminary audit revealing the areas now in question include California and Illinois. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joining us. The administration is also claiming some of the illegal immigrants this money is being spent on have violent criminal records. Break down what you know.
So during a preliminary audit by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, it found that during 2024 and 2025, multiple states spent over $1 billion in federal Medicaid funds for illegal immigrant health care, money that the Trump administration now wants back. The center's finding in that recent audit, California was by far the biggest culprit, spending over $1.3 billion in federal Medicaid dollars on health care for illegal immigrants.
We're actually clawing that money back from those states now. But the fact that that could still happen is very frustrating to all of us.
The other states and district in question you see here. According to CMS, Illinois spent the second most, around $30 million, followed by Oregon, Washington, D.C., and Colorado. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer saying the law prohibits this from happening.
But you know what? You didn't have the verification tools in place to enforce the law. So we put the verification in the Working Families Tax Cut Act, also known as the Big Beautiful Bill.
While federal Medicaid money is supposed to be prohibited from being used for illegal immigrants, it can be used by states for emergency treatment regardless of citizenship or immigration status. But CMS says some Democratic-led states aren't following the law. The press secretary for HHS telling the National News Desk, quote, "Federal law forbids using Medicaid funds for illegal immigrants, yet several Democrat-led states did it anyway. The Trump administration won't tolerate it. CMS is auditing aggressively, recovering every dollar and holding states accountable."
We are clawing back that money. We've already gotten hundreds of millions of dollars back, which again, it proves that these states realized that they were guilty because they wouldn't give us the money back otherwise.
Now, Governor Gavin Newsom's office has consistently said California is not improperly using federal funds for illegal immigrant health care, instead using coverage programs funded by the state, which is legally allowed.
Guys, your thoughts on that?
Send him to jail. Problem solved. Next.
Mr. Binky?
Well, all I'm going to say is you got to stop and remember, anything government creates, it controls. The more you get involved with what government's got out there to give you, the more control they got over your life, negatively or positively.
Dre?
We're starting to not sweep things under the rug. The Trump administration is really dedicated to dealing with fraud and abuse, and anything that illegal aliens are getting that they shouldn't have, anything that they're doing that's illegal, the Trump administration is pushing back. And this is just another example of all these different organizations being exposed for this industrialized complex of the money that's coming from illegal aliens.
You said.
Yep.
You said was the biggest one. That when they went in there and started exposing what was going on, and you said, who was the ones doing all the complaining? The Democrats.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Sure
but because go
you're
ahead,
taking
man.
my grift away. You're taking my grift away. Stop. Wait. You're taking my money scheme away, and that's what these Democrat states are doing with the illegal immigration and the Medicaid. This is a grift program, and so they're like, so the government, the Trump administration is like, okay, y'all are abusing this, we're taking it back, and I would double down with that and say, DOJ, go in there and arrest the facilitators of this crime, period. And then they were like, oh, wait, we have our state program. Okay, well, you get your own state program, but you're still going to jail because you violated federal law.
Dre?
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I've gotten into fights with people because they've been saying that the Trump administration and the people in these government jobs, they've been unusually fired. And I had to push back. I was like, look, we're in a situation where the government got extremely large and bloated under the Biden administration. Every other president reduces the government. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican, but because Donald Trump told everybody he was draining the swamp in Trump 1.0. Didn't get as much done because there were people in this camp that was backstabbing him. But in Trump 2.0, he learned, and now he's really draining the swamp. People don't like seeing people get fired. Longtime government officials getting fired. They don't like that. But if the Trump administration decides that they want the government to be more effective, they're making cuts, and they have the right to make those cuts.
Guys, all of you are correct, and those programs are meant for people that really needed it. I mean, just like we saw in the video earlier, one guy in 6 states getting welfare. You've seen it, and it's propagandized even in the Black community. There was a lady that was a welfare queen that was getting Medicaid. She was getting SNAP. She was getting money in about 10 or 15 states. So by the sheer measure of doing these audits and now holding these states accountable for them to be giving that money back that they've been given to illegals, states clearly that they are guilty and breaking the law. And just like you said, Randy, they should be going to prison for that. They should be going to jail.
The other thing that should happen is the government should just turn off the program and say, we're going to wipe the rolls. If you want to reapply, come on and reapply, and we will determine whether or not you qualify or not. That will eliminate half the population on the program anyway. And then all these illegals that's getting it, they're not going to show up to the office and say, I'm here to apply.
Exactly.
So that's how you fix it. That's how you fix these programs. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not running for president. So
Randy, how am I going to eat?
Hey.
Come on,
I hope you got friends and family.
Well, that's the whole thing, man, is the fact that, to Black citizens who have been the butt of the joke, we're last for everything, guys. And y'all know that. We don't get set nothing up front that could really benefit our community. But every time a program is created, it is created not to benefit the Black community, but it looks like, and they say it's going to benefit the Black community, but it does not. It's those NGOs that are continuing to siphon money from the government. It's like the ones that we know of, the Red Cross and Catholic Charities, the fraternities and sororities. I mean, the list, the Urban League, the NAACP, Al Sharpton and the National Action Network. You would think that these Black organizations who are fighting for rights for Black citizens would be on board, screaming loud, saying, shut the borders, cut these people off welfare, let us rebuild the Black community to some prominence, but they're not. They're grifters, they're getting money, they're building a cachet of cash that is only going to bet the leaders of these organizations, and still yet nothing is being done. The Black community hasn't gotten worse. Marriage between Black men and women are down to maybe 8 to 7%. I mean, our children, it's low, man. Our children do not even understand, or do they look for future in this country. They live in day by day. They're living hand to mouth, and the Black leadership is looking the other way, making sure that illegals are getting millions of dollars to come to the Black community and take it over. Now, there's been a lot of fighting going on, not just in Congress with the shutdown, but I think some of the Black young leaders who have been working together against the Black community is now starting to fight each other. I just got a clip where ROLAND Martin, the House Negro ROLAND Martin, part of the Boule, part of the fraternities and sororities. And see, that's the big problem right there. Because the Black community allowed these educated Negroes to get in position to siphon money away from the Black community to put in their pockets. And so now we have people like Charlemagne the God. I don't like him. I don't like ROLAND Martin because he's an asshole and he doesn't care about Black people. He cares about the things that he can put in his pocket. But you know that the house of cards is crumbling when you get Charlemagne the God, who was part of the 2020 elections being stolen, and you get a guy like Roland Martin now tearing each other up because Charlemagne made a comment that said that it's over. The shutdown should be over. The Democrats, you lost. Okay, you shouldn't have done it in the first place, and that we need to reopen our country, not only because it should have never happened, because black people are suffering. Black people are suffering behind this. And so they're playing on our emotions, just like the little kid tomorrow, Trump, I'm hungry. Well, your parents should have bought you a meal. That now the infighting has started. I want to play a clip, guys, and get y'all thoughts on this, and we're going to get up out of here. Check this out.
Let's not forget, he is a Democrat dancing machine. Oh, Roland will cut a rug for the Democrats, you hear me? Okay, he loves dancing for Democrats so much that he won't even go to the right when the Tootsie Roll is playing. Okay, it's all to the left for Roland, and that's fine. Okay, respect to him and his political allegiance with Democrats. So it wasn't a surprise to me that Roland had an opinion on my opinion of this current government shutdown, because I feel like Democrats, even though they put up a great fight, it was a valiant effort in regards to health care. It was a fight they couldn't win right now. Okay, key word right now. So open the government back up because people are out here suffering. Roland didn't like that. Okay, he posted this video with the headline, Beyond Idiotic, Roland tears down Charlemagne's shutdown misinformation. That's the word that got my attention, misinformation. What did I say that was misinformation? Well, let's listen to Roland Martin.
Do me a favor. Do not listen to people like Charlemagne the God, okay? So Charlemagne was talking about this government shutdown, and he made a comment as relate to what Democrats should be doing. Y'all have that?
You know what I don't understand, Mimi, and I don't know, maybe you can explain it to me. The health care is going to go up anyway because of the big, beautiful bill, because that didn't include the extension of the tax credits to keep the cost down. So if it's going up anyway, what's the point of Democrats taking the stand to keep the government still closed?
At this point, you're right, because the premiums, which the open enrollment started this weekend, November 1st, and so people are getting those letters in the mail. In fact, one person in Utah, a woman in Utah, she told ABC News that she opened her bill and saw that her monthly premium had already jumped from about $400 a month, Charlemagne, to over $2,000 a month. And so at this point, it's like, what's going to happen? Is it retroactive? Like, how is this going to work as we continue to go forward? So you're absolutely right.
And the premiums are set for a year. So at this point, if the premiums have already gone up, if they set for a year, at least give the people some relief and get the government back open, man.
Now, we're going to play some more of that, but I want to touch on something. Now, you see how Charlemagne is speaking the truth. For the simple fact is, the Obamacare was the Affordable Care Act was the biggest fraud of all times, because they forced American citizens to have insurance or they would be penalized on their taxes. When you go, because I'm a Medicare advisor and we're in open enrollment right now. Since the Inflation Act, most of the insurance carriers in the last 4 years under the Biden administration, they were able to take benefits from seniors and put the bare bones services that they could in there. Not only that, they drove up the co-pays and cost. So when you start talking about Medicare, you start talking about the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act, if you don't have insurance, when you go there to get the insurance at the marketplace, you're going to spend $400 to $500 to $600 a month just for bare bones health care. You got companies like Ambetter, man, who are offering services and insurance, but the co-pays are so high that you can barely pay for them. And so the Obamacare was a big joke. And see, what Charlemagne did was he read off the true meaning of Obamacare. He said that this had nothing to do with the shutdown, that they should have opened our country and then dealt with this later on. But they felt that if they forced the American people to suffer, and they keep saying it's Trump's fault, that the American people would turn against President Trump. And even though it had nothing to do with Obamacare, because I hope they get rid of it. I hope they don't fund it. It needs to die. and it needs to be restructured so it is affordable. Insurance is not affordable now, and once those extra things run out, and the insurance is going sky high now, because anytime you let the government take over something like this, and then they create a problem, and yet there's no way to fix it. Your thought, Mr. Binky?
Mr. Charlemagne the God, anything government touches, they are the cause of things going up, whether it's health care, whether it's a tuition, whatever. You got to get that mindset out that government's not going to fix nothing. They're going to create a problem, and then they're going to come back and say, well, we got an idea how to fix it, and that's going to cost every one of us. So until we get government out and let the free market work itself, and I mean by that I'm saying is, if the product isn't good under a free market, the product doesn't last. If you make a product that people want, they'll buy it and it will last. It will work. We've been removed from that. Government stepped in and told us what food we should eat, what energy we should use, what cars we should buy, what roofs we put on our house, how to take care of our kids. Who is the slaves here? We are. And until we get government out, Charlemagne, or whatever, everything's going to keep going up. So quit complaining.
Randy?
I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
There you go.
that is the problem. You know, the government is trying to help and they're not helping. They're creating the problems. And to Steve's point, you're absolutely right, sir. But you know, I'm of this position that we need to revert our healthcare system back to the way it was in the early days, where a doctor and the patient had that relationship. They negotiated how they was going to take care of each other. And then the doctor had a relationship with the hospital and said, hey, I have this patient. They're going to come to you. You do what you need to do. Bill me, I bill them, you know, type of thing. And we all go on about our business. Why don't we do this with car insurance? Why don't we do this with all the other insurances that we have to pay? Mortgage or house insurance and stuff like that. Those systems are so broken, but we kind of like forget about it because they're not something that we have to deal with on a regular basis. Your premiums go up because you did something. If you get health insurance, you should be able to have a very low cost if you're not utilizing it. And then when it's time to use it, then it goes up a little bit, you know, based on whatever's going on. But paying $2,000, $400, $500, $600, that's ridiculous. I'd be like, man, kick rocks. And if you try to tax me or take my taxes because I don't have medical insurance, I'm coming after your ass. Period. The end. It's just ridiculous.
Dre?
I think that Mr. Binky and Randy said it all. I think that we need to review our policies, and you know, like, we can't just continue to play this blame game. Congress needs to get in there, legislate, and do the work it should actually be doing.
Balanced budget amendment.
Yep.
Well, you know what, guys, that is so true, because what we're seeing right now, and it's all this misinformation that they're doing. I want to play some more of this clip from Charlemagne, because we're going to play it, and then I want your thoughts on this whole thing.
So you're absolutely right.
And the premiums are set for a year. So at this point, if the premiums have already gone up, if they set for a year, at least give the people some relief and get the government back open, man.
Do not listen to what the hell he just said. That to me is beyond idiotic, because this battle that we're seeing is not solely about healthcare. Rebecca, I don't know what the hell that was. That was just bull.
Roland, what makes what I said BS? I said the health care is going to go up anyway because of the big, beautiful bill, because that didn't include the extension of the tax credits to keep the cost down. That's fact-based. Okay, Mimi pointed out that some people were already receiving higher premiums since the beginning of the open enrollment period. People have been receiving notices of higher premiums. So where was the misinformation? Roland, you may not agree that Dems should concede and vote for the government to be reopened, but don't say it's misinformation. Okay, maybe I gave too short an explanation. Maybe I oversimplified it. Maybe I should be clearer for the audience, and I will right now. When the big, beautiful bill, or as Reverend Barber called it, the big, deadly bill, or as Jasmine Crockett calls it, the big, ugly bill, when that bipartisan spending package Republicans forced through, when that was passed, Democrats failed to extend the ACA premium subsidies that were originally expanded under the American Rescue Plan and Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, without those tax credits, ACA or Obamacare premiums increase automatically, and they're already locked in for 2025 since insurers file and finalize their rates months ahead. So if healthcare premiums have already gone up and are fixed for the year, then keeping the government closed, the fight for lower premiums, makes no sense to me, especially when on top of high healthcare prices, so many people are suffering right now because of the government shutdown. And that's what I care about, the people. Okay, that's why I said what I said, because of the people who are being hurt by this. Federal workers who haven't been paid in 40 days, they past due on rent right now. Can't pay for child care right now. Hell, they can't pay for the health insurance they do have because they don't have any money coming in. Not to mention people not getting the SNAP benefits. So how is what I said some BS? How was that misinformation? Once again, Roland, if you would have said I disagree with Charlemagne, Democrats should fight and not vote to reopen the government until some concessions are made on health care, cool, I would understand that. It's fair. But to say it's some BS and label it as misinformation, that's just a lie. And you did that on purpose. That was intentional to discredit me and the Breakfast Club, but we'll get back to that. He even had a sister by the name of Rebecca Carruthers come in and double down on the lie that we spread misinformation and accuse me of all types of treachery. Let's listen.
Look, what I heard was an exchange of two people who don't understand how this works. So what they're talking about are the health insurance premiums that are in the marketplace. The marketplaces are the state exchanges. The state exchanges is because of Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act. Here's the thing. Those premiums are effective January 1, 2026. You get about 60 days notice in most states. Some states put out their new expected premiums back in October, some kind of at the end of September. But this is giving notice of, hey, if you continue at the level of health insurance plan that you have, this is what you're going to start to pay effective January 1. And so the erroneous, I mean, this isn't just misinformation here. This starts to look like this is intentional disinformation. And for the audience, disinformation is where you have bad, misleading information that's intentionally targeted to a certain demographic. The demographic here is Black voters. The reason why is that Black voters are the base of the Democratic Party. Right now, the Democrats are in lockstep saying that, no, we're not going to give you the votes that you need in order to end this government shutdown. You Republicans need to come to us and work out a deal. And so by trying to talk to Black folks, so then Black folks can then talk to Democratic members of the House and Democratic members of the Senate to get Democrats to back down. That's what Charlemagne is trying to do here. So this is disinformation that we're seeing that Charlemagne is doing. This is not just mistaken information. This is intentional, going after Black voters.
Rebecca, I don't even know what you were trying to imply. Okay, you repeated what myself and Mimi just said. You just didn't oversimplify it like I did. But I still don't understand how that leads into you saying I'm intentionally giving out misinformation to Black voters. What is the misinformation? I'm also not trying to discourage anyone from voting in midterms, even though I know we are going to have to fight to have free and fair elections in the midterms. But that's a whole other conversation. But you, Rebecca, sound like you are trying to make me out to be controlled opposition. Let the record show, I don't get paid by any political party. I've never taken money from a political candidate for anything. Can Roland Martin say the same? Again, what did I say that was misinformation? Okay, everything I said is actual and factual in regards to what's in the big, beautiful bill. If you disagree with me saying Democrats should vote to reopen the government, once again, that is fair. If you believe me saying I think Democrats have lost is wrong, I understand that too. But that's my opinion, not misinformation. You want to know why I think Democrats have already lost? I'll tell you my position. One, because the Trump administration practices authoritarian strategy. And they don't give a damn about working class people, and they damn sure don't care about the poor. Number two, Republicans are scared to death of that administration, and they have zero reason to make any concessions. They already have everything they want in the big deadly bill. Okay, massive tax cuts stay. ACA subsidy extensions didn't make it in. Deep cuts to Medicaid and social programs already in there. They have zero reason to play ball. Roland knows this. But he would rather sell y'all false hope instead of telling you the truth. Roland knows most of these Republicans have made careers running against Obamacare. They can't go back now, even if it kills them in the midterms. And a lot of people I've spoken to in government, Democrats, by the way, feel like that's why pinning a shutdown strategy around this issue was foolish to begin with, okay? And a lot of them told me they knew they weren't going to get anything out of this except maybe the promise of a vote on the Senate floor that will ultimately fail. That's why I said last week Democrats lost, okay? As you can see, that seems to be the case because they reached a tentative agreement yesterday that does not include an extension of the ACA subsidies. And you know who will be one of the first people out here fake dragging Democrats for YouTube views because of that? Roland Martin.
Your guys thought, y'all thought so. Who up first? Y'all go ahead.
Hey, it's simple. It's simple for me. And Charlemagne's right. You know,
Yep.
Roland Martin is, anytime somebody is telling the truth, Democrats will automatically run to that tagline, oh, it's misinformation. No, it's not misinformation. If you did your research or if you actually knew what you were talking about, you would clearly see that this was a dumb ploy by the Democrats. And now it's backfiring on them. And now people are seeing, like, you know what? Why did y'all do all this? Well, at first we was believing you that it was the Republicans because they control the House and the Senate. But you held up the process. You held up the ball. So why did you do this in the first place? Because now there's all for nothing. 40 days, 40 nights of stupidity is what we dealt with. And, you know, we talk about this in the Bible. the 40 days in the wilderness. That's exactly this. We was in a political wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, and we came out still dumb.
Mr. Binky?
Lord have mercy.
Love that.
That video right there confirms what we've been talking. We've got to get government out. Charlemagne and the other guy, both them gals, all they're worried about is what government can do. And I think we've pretty much agreed that what government can do is just destroy everything that they get their hands on. So they're making the argument for us of why we need to get government back to where it belongs, as Randy's been talking. Read the Constitution. I want people to read the Declaration and know who they are. When you read that Declaration, you understand why Randy wants you to read the Constitution. And without reading both of them, you're not going to understand what power the people are supposed to have and what power the government shouldn't have. And that way, Charlemagne and all of them, they wouldn't have an argument there to point fingers on Ryan and whatever.
Exactly.
Yes. So for 41 days, the Democrats thought they were playing chess and that the Republicans were playing checkers. And we're looking at the ACA subsidies and the fight for illegal immigrants. But let's look at what Roland Martin said. He said, this is not just about healthcare. Like if the discussion was about the healthcare, the pushback was about healthcare, then why would he say that? Because it's deeper than that. This is about the resistance. This was also about state elections. And I'm going to put it out there because we just had 3 major state elections and the Democrats ran the table. Now, let's think about if this shutdown hadn't happened, would some of the under tickets been able to come up and kind of slow down this blue wave? I think so. I think it was strategic that they did this around this time. They said, we have this going, we have this fight that we want to do. I think it was strategic. Another thing that was said during the video was, can they say that they've never taken money? And the answer for Roland Martin is absolutely not. They cannot say that they've never taken political money. And I'm glad that that Charlemagne the God brought that to the forefront, because that's an important fact to know, especially when you said that this guy's been dancing for the Democrat Party, and this is why this type of pushback is coming out. We also see what they were saying about Black voters. You know, like they're trying to use them as a pawn and a tool, and the other side is also trying to use them as a pawn and a tool, but to like put in their minds that because Charlemagne the God is not dancing the way that they want, that he's giving disinformation. I'm glad that you guys brought that out. That is the common tool that they use when they're being exposed. They've been exposed, that this wasn't just about the health benefits. Tell me that it's more than the health benefits without telling me. And Roland Martin didn't even do that. He just told us straight out. That's not what it was all about.
Did Charlemagne also talk about fair elections?
Yeah, he did. He did. Yep.
I thought all our elections were fair.
He knows that. They know that the elections are not fair because, like I said, we did a during the last midterms, the Heritage Foundation gave us a grant so that we could cover the city of Chicago and find out how much election fraud was out there. Well, folks, what we found out, and it's all documented with receipts, we found the fake printers, we found the thumb drives, we found Democrats posing as Republican judges. We had a case where we found that a lady's card wouldn't go through the machine. They told her, give us the card and we'll put it through later. And the lady refused to do that. And once that they found out that we was there, they tried to cover their tracks. So what's going to happen during these midterm elections? If we don't secure the polling places and ensure that they cannot steal and bring fake people in and destroy ballots and all of that, they're going to try to steal another election because they're all the way out right now. The Democratic Party has shown their hand to the American people. They're all the way out in the open. And what we saw with these few states with New York and stuff, they cheated. And there was no strong Republican candidate that was there to push this over there. It's Cuomo. He had a lot of baggage. The guy from the subway, he was just a distractor. I saw him out in selling his book. Out instead of talking about what he was going to do, he trying to sell his book. So it's a lot of things that's not going to happen during these midterm elections. I'm telling President Trump, I've been talking to some of the election integrity people at the White House. We need to have things in place so that we can watch these elections because the Democrats is like a wounded dog. They're in a corner now. They've been exposed. They're going to come out fighting. They're going to come out trying to cheat, steal, kill. They're going to try to do anything that they can to get back in power because another Republican president is going to finish them off. I want to play the rest of this Charlemagne the God because I want our listeners to really take a look at. Now you see people on the same team. But see, God is not the author of confusion. Now we see some righteousness being said. Charlemagne have been put into a position because Roland spoke ill of him, and now he's defending himself and his character saying, okay, Roland, you're a liar and a thief because he did take money from Kamala. They're talking about it now at the IRS and looking at him for the money he took, just like Al Sharpton and some of the other ones that gave money. Oprah Winfrey, all of them took exorbitant amounts of money from Kamala, and it didn't do no good. And that's against the election rules. So I want to play a little bit more of this, guys. I'm going to get your thought before we get out of here.
Said something when him and his panel were accusing us of misinformation. It was before he threw the Dr. Niambi Carter, I think her name is. Let's listen.
Niambi, the reason I think it's bad advice is because when you are in political battles, you maximize your leverage. And when you are fighting on behalf of people, they understand that there are people who are not getting benefits. They know there are federal workers who are not getting their paychecks as well. But they also are dealing with an administration that's been slashing and burning and firing people indiscriminately as well. So all this is wrapped up. So what you do not do is you do not capitulate. You do not back down. You don't go, oh, well, you know what? Hey, we'll just go ahead and pack it in. No, you try to get as much as you can.
Well, absolutely. And this is why Wendy Williams' sidekick should not be trusted with political information. I've long had a beef with Charlemagne, so let's just stop there.
Damn. I don't know why people think calling me Wendy Williams sidekick is a diss. Thank God I got that opportunity 20 years ago. That's one of the reasons I'm here now. But please tell the good Dr. Carter that I don't shine shoes anymore. And how she got beef for me? I never met you. Don't know you, but God bless you, sincerely. But in that exchange, Roland said they understand that there are people not getting their benefits. They understand there are federal workers not getting their paychecks. You know why Roland Martin can say that so nonchalantly? Because he's not potentially facing eviction because he hasn't paid his rent for the month. He doesn't need any money this month to pay for his child care. And SNAP benefits, food. Does Roland Martin, the boo-boo built ass, look like he's missing any meals? Huh? Damn. I'm with Senator Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada. Okay, she's a Democrat. She said before the shutdown happened, we need a bipartisan solution to address this impending health care crisis, but we should not be swapping the pain of one group of Americans for another. That's my mindset. And maybe your mindset would be different if you actually spoke to some of these federal workers facing eviction, or if you spoke to some of these people who rely on food benefits. Also, Dems, if you was going to do a shutdown, why not have something in place for the federal workers who are going to need money, or the folks who are losing SNAP benefits? Hell, what's that guy's name? Timothy Mellon. He donated $130 million to help pay the U.S. military personnel. Where are the Democratic donors who are willing to do that for federal workers or people with no SNAP benefits? All you lobbyists who be giving to these Democratic campaigns, now is your time to shine for the people, baby. All the pharmaceutical lobbyists, pro-Israel lobbyists, the lobbyists that represent real estate interests. If you want Democrats to keep making this stand in regards to health care, dig deep into your pockets and find some relief for the constituents of these people being impacted by the government shutdown. Once again, we can have ideological discussion about the government shutdown. We can agree to disagree on that. But to say that I put out misinformation, that's just a fat, rotund Martin lie. Now, I like that. I just got a little bit more. Just a little bit more. I'm with you. There is a reason Rotund Martin wants to paint the Breakfast Club, me in particular, as a person spreading misinformation. See, I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit, not too much because it really don't matter. I just want some of you to know people's motivation. Roland Martin is a hater. Okay, he be hating on me behind the scenes to anybody who will listen. He will say something negative about me, and it's always in regards to how I'm moving in this media space. In particular, anything in the political realm. It's always a, why does he get this? Why does he get that type of thing? Why is he on cable news? Why do politicians go sit with the Breakfast Club? Roland, I don't know. Okay, favor ain't fair, but he will do all that hating, but loves texting my phone asking to come on the Breakfast Club. Correct, Envy? Does it? Okay, just be super correct. Okay, one day a few years ago, I'm sitting at home. Roland texts me and says, hey, tonight on my show, we are going to talk about Tyler Perry and BET. At the time, it was rumors of Tyler buying BET, and the headline of the video he posted was Roland's blistering deconstruction of Paramount's idiotic failed attempt to sell BET. So I'm watching this video because he asked me to, and about 40 minutes in, one of the brothers on the panel starts bigging up Roland's Black Star Network, as he should, and then he just threw a random shot at me, which Roland tends to let people do. Let's listen.
The Black Star Network is doing something that is, in the teaching profession, we call it God's work. It's thankless work. People might not necessarily understand it, but as you said, when there's something that folk need some reliable information on, you see the numbers explode. They come here. And Lauren, when you said you watch YouTube a lot, I mean, I try to stay out of digital world because I try to continue to be analog, as you can see, but I can't fight the future, so I look at YouTube a lot too for that very same reason. And I'm saying this to say that, we saw what happened to Bomani Jones at HBO or ESPN. High quality analysis he couldn't stand, and then you see them throw something out, Comedy Central with Brother Leonard or Charlemagne, whatever he calls himself. That ain't high quality analysis.
My brother, I don't know your name, but you can big up the Black Star Network without throwing shots at what I was doing on Comedy Central at the time. You can love on Roland and big up what he does without slandering me, but whatever. If that's what you got to do to remain in rotation on Roland's YouTube page, God bless you too. Now, in that same episode, Roland had this to say about me. Mind you, he texted my phone and told me to tune in and listen.
You know what? I have not said this publicly, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. Uh-oh. And I would love for the current leadership of BET to prove me wrong. When we were in Atlanta covering Melanie Campbell's grassroots organizing event in Atlanta, this was, May? I ran into a sister, and she said, I'm so glad to meet you. She said, I know so much about you. And I was like, really? She says, yes. She says, after the death of George Floyd, she said, the leaders of BET came to me and said, it's time for us to do a news show. And she said, I ran the research. And she said, we did exhaustive research. We studied day parts, we studied shows, we studied other networks, we looked at radio, we looked at newspaper, we looked at podcasting. She said, we studied demographics, 18-24, 24-35, 35-44, 44-54, 55 plus. And she said, after we ran all the metrics, she said the research came back, and the number one person they said, Black America said they wanted to see host a news show on BET was you. She said it was you. She said Charlemagne was on the list, and she said, and then when Comedy Central launched his show, she said they're using my research.
Well, Roland, who else was on the list? Okay, why do you have to let people know that out of all the other people who I'm sure was on the list, Charlemagne the God was on the list? Roland, I am not your competition, and I refuse to be responsible for how you feel about yourself. You accuse Breakfast Club of spreading misinformation because you are trying to discredit me and the platform I have helped to build, as if that's going to amplify what you're doing. You don't have to do that, brother. You already up. You are a 56-year-old seasoned political pundit. You have a lot of respect in the space of political commentary. You are a trusted source for a lot of people, Roland. Be secure in that and stop projecting your insecurities onto me. There's a lot of things I disagree with Roland on, and even with knowing he be sneak dissing, not once until today have I ever spoken on him in a public manner, and it's never been disparaging. Not even a fat joke. And I always thought Tariq Nasheed calling him Gerald Dessert was hilarious. But Roland out here lying, accusing us of spreading misinformation, that's an intentional attack to discredit us. What if I did an intentional attack to discredit you? What if I said, could someone out there make me an AI video? Okay, I want an AI video of the Stephanie Mills challenge. And I want Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries singing, I never knew love like this before. And I want Roland Martin in the background of that video dancing for Democrats like he do. I'm talking boogie and biscuits. And I want the caption to say, we told Roland Martin he can cut in line at the all-you-can-eat bussy buffet if he agreed to be our backup dancer. What if I asked people to do that for me? That would be an intentional attack. But I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to ask you to do, sir, is don't tell no lie on me, and I won't speak truth about you. Please give Roland Martin the biggest hee-haw.
All right, guys, your thoughts on that? Everything he said was true.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I like about when God get into something. See, they are on the same team, but yet they're attacking each other because the Democratic Party has failed black people. Your last comments, Randy. Tell me what you think about what you just heard.
You know, it's absolutely true. The problem is that Roland Martin is looking for, ever since he got fired off of CNN a few years back. See, people forget this. He got fired off of CNN because he was carrying the water way too much, and he was losing his credibility. And then next thing you know, after he got departed, the dominoes started to fall. Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, all of them started to fall off because he was the one that was spreading misinformation. And people were like, wait a minute, that's not true, dude. And so CNN was like, hey, bro, we can't have this. And now he's on Unfiltered on YouTube doing the same stuff, amplified even more, you know, saying stuff. And be honest, I don't know any black people that listen to him, you know, like that. So it is what it is. You know, he's mad. So hey, sorry.
Mr. Binky?
Well, Charlemagne needs to be deprogrammed, but I'm not here to promote my show. I'm here to promote your show. I'm not going to get in an argument with my fellow guests here that, you know, we're supposed to be here solving problems. As Randy said earlier, we need to educate ourselves. As Randy said, we need to read the Constitution. And I want people to read the Declaration of Independence. To get educated, you got to know who you are. And when you know who you are, you know who government is. And then we won't turn into Charlemagne and Roland Martin. So that's my last words about, you know, we got to keep doing what we're doing. I don't care what Roland Martin or Charlemagne's doing.
Amen.
Andre?
Well, we saw it. Shots fired, shots returned. And what we're seeing in this infighting is that some people within the Democratic Party are going to look at their situation and say, what we're doing is not working. They're able to look back at the last election where Americans said they wanted less immigration. And he's looking at the situation with the shutdown specifically and saying, this is not working. And because he stepped out of line, he's being attacked.
Yes.
So what hopefully will happen, well, I don't care because I lean a lot more Republican, but what we're going to see is that we're going to see an evolution within the Democratic Party. And there's going to be more infighting as they figure out and rediscover who they are and what they stand for. They went way too far to the left. And now they are not even in lockstep or in line with the American citizens as far as a party is concerned. And they're rediscovering who they are. So we're going to see more of this infighting, but it's good to hear that there is some common sense prevailing.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, you know, that is so true. And I have been on Roland Martin's show before, and I never could get a word in. Folks, if you want to see that, you can go to Roland Martin's and pull it up, and you'll see, to me, he's just a fat asshole. He doesn't care about black people. All he cares about is his pocket and his name. And his name is in the mud, especially with black people, because what we just saw him lie and tell these different stories about Charlemagne the God, and they're on the same team. So we can see that the Democratic Party is exploding. They're fighting each other, and yet the whole key, Charlemagne said something that was real key. This whole thing is about making sure that the American people are first and well taken care of. Guys, thank y'all for tuning into the show. We're going to come back, guys, because I want to do a show to our viewers and listeners. We need to start talking about the role of black men and the role of black women and the black family, how it needs to make a comeback. We're going to discuss those things. There's a few things that we need to understand, that our young men have not been trained to be men, and our women haven't been trained to be women and know their places in relationships. So, guys, thank y'all for coming. We'll be talking soon. I'll send something out so we can keep it going and keep informing the American people about the truth. Blessings to you. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in to the show today. I always say to our listeners, man, it's time to do research. It's time for the black community to stop believing in what they hear, especially from news entities like Roland Martin and Charlemagne the God. I want people to really understand. That's why we do this here at Let the Truth Be Told radio, is that we play these receipts so people can see exactly what's going on and how they're pulling a wool over the American people and patriots' eyes across this country, especially black citizens. These are my last words. To the black community, now that we understand and see that it has been a Democratic Party who unleashed all the illegals into our country, they said that black people should not get reparations. That's what Barack Obama said, and he made sure that didn't happen. He said the reason why we couldn't give black people reparations is because who do we know who is descendants of slaves? Well, all of us are. They're our ancestors. If you black and you in this country, then your ancestors died coming across here being forced to build a country. So what I'm saying to my community, the black community, you don't have to believe what I'm saying, but I'm asking you to do some research. We saw a clip of this guy that was with Roland Martin. He had all those books behind his head. I bet you he hasn't read 5 of those books. It's all about presentation. It's all about trying to deceive people to think that we're smart. But we know by the actual facts, what we see in our community. No economics, no sure education, no financial literacy. The black community has nothing to say or hang our hat on that we can be proud of. James Brown used to say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. But we don't have those type of people like James Brown, Jim Brown, and all the great black leaders who stood in the gap to uplift the black community. And if the black community is to rise about the ashes, if we're going to save our families, if we're going to save our children, if we are going to prepare something to leave, some type of intelligence, some type of generational wealth for our children in the future, it's time for the black community to unite and get our own communities back in shape so that we can make this country great again and make Black America great again. God bless you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Share the show around. You can catch us at our new platform, LetTheTruthBeTold.Lightcast.com. You can see the show there tonight. Folks, don't worry about YouTube. Don't worry about Facebook or X. Go to LetTheTruthBeTold.Lightcast.com. Watch the show so you can see it in its entirety and without any interruptions. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. And remember, put God first and everything will change.